I do have to ask, whenever people come to the cons, I jokingly say, hey, are you into comics? And some people legitimately said no. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here?
We were at New York City Comic Con and this girl was there and she's like, Stan Lee, who was that?
Oh,
let that sink in.
I want to flip the table.
I'll let that sink. Even my wife did a double take and she was like, wait, what? What did she say? I was like, yeah. I was like, why are you at a comic convention? He's like, Stan Lee, like, even if you don't know who Stan Lee is, he's the guy who makes the appearances in every single Marvel movie.
No, you can't not know who Stan Lee is.
Spoiler for Avengers, Stan Lee is in it.
What are some ups and downs you had during this road of becoming an artist, going to conventions? You know, some fun war stories, good and bad.
I stopped drawing for 2 years because of bad criticism. Yeah,
it goes back into dealing with criticism. I see the younger generation and our people now have it easy to get into this. Again, it's not easy. Don't think that you're gonna make
the accessibility, technology, and things.
And even if you have some great skill, please understand there's not a lot of money unless they snatch you up. Because I know a lot of people who draw great, but they're still doing nothing with it. My backstory is this: I went to NYT when I was in my 20s. But no, I mean, this is the difference between what we have now and what we had back then. You didn't have really a lot of cons back then that you could really go to. You didn't know a lot. There was no internet. Well, there was an internet, but you know, you had to get off the phone to use the internet.
Yes.
You didn't have.
Why am I getting a busy signal?
Yes.
It's a damn dial-up.
But no, I remember one of the things that was very discouraging. It was two instances. One is I remember my dad took me to one of his jobs. He was working as a porter at a court. And there was a lawyer there. I told him, listen, I want to get into comics. The lawyer goes, why do you want to do that thing? That's a failed business. Why don't you go be an architect or something? Nothing against architects, but it's like, you know, you're shitting on the dream that I want to do. In NYT, when, you know, you're a broke student, you barely have any money to really, like, I was broke as a fucking joke. I mean, I'm making $88 paychecks, and most of my checks are going to, like, Subway fare, so I could barely afford what everyone was getting.
There you go.
I was a Puerto Rican kid coming down from the Bronx.
Pay that $100.
Yeah, I was gonna pay that.
Instead of paying the $175.
You know, I remember.
It cost.
I think I really gave up when my professor looked at my stuff, and he just like tore it up. And I wasn't prepared. Yeah, it tore my stuff up, and I was like physically. Tore it up, dude, and I was like, you know what? I can't do this. So at that time, again, I don't think I was ready for it. And that's another thing. Maybe at this time you're not ready for it, but you know, I come years later, I start drawing again, get the bug. I go to New York City Comic Con. I meet Scott Barnett and Jeff Marzik, who actually were the beginnings of this journey. I stop at Scott Barnett's table at my second New York City Comic Con. Because I told myself I'm gonna go buy an independent book. I wanna, you know, I'm getting tired of Marvel and DC. I love a lot of independent. You have a lot of great stuff out there. The book was Dead Man's Party, and you probably have seen they've been picked up by Darby Pop now. Darby Pop publishes this stuff. So I find Dead Man's Party, and I love the artwork. Like Scott's artwork was just freaking awesome. And I remember asking him, like, and it was just a whole conversation. And he took the time to give me advice. I took his advice. Following year, I met Jeff Marzik, writer for the book. Scott introduced him to me, and I asked him for advice. I have a bunch of books that Jeff recommended to me to like the Bendis book. He recommended that to me. That was pretty dope. Which I recommend to people too if you're getting into writing. Yeah. It's a pretty good book. We'll put the link below for Amazon for you to get.
Yes, I've read it. Very good.
But no, I mean, and I thank them because the advice those two gave me, and then there was advice from that fellow artist I met again years later, who he's been seasoned and all that and everything, because he's a good artist too. I'm never gonna knock anybody's art, because to me it's like, you can draw. Doesn't matter if people say you're bad. If you're an artist, you're gonna draw. You're gonna make something. You make art. And he gave me advice was something I'll tell people right now. Take a business course, learn about business, because at the end of the day too, you are a business. You're always going to learn about art, you're always going to learn about writing, but also too, you want to learn about the business end of things. And I thank him for that advice too, because at the end of the day, I don't think we would be where we're at. And it's just been a building block, that's all.
Yeah. We all probably grew up the same way. We're creative, we doodle, especially when we're in class, when we should be paying attention to class. We're sitting there drawing. I remember filling up my dividers of like murals of stuff. I found some of my old books, where I was drawing more than actually taking notes. So I thought it was pretty good. But I grew up, blue collar family or stuff like that. I learned really early on the term starving artist.
Starving. Yes.
Yeah, so like for me I was good at drawing, but I was also good with tech. I decided to go down the path of tech. Art was always something I never thought could be a professional thing for me because I didn't think I was good enough. And then one year, like when I first started going to New York Comic Con, I look around at like webcomics. I look around at some of the indie stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm not that great, but there's people out there who are doing stuff that's comparable to what I can do. Or some people are like literally drawing stick figures and they have, an amazing comic. So it's like, ooh, I can do this. I can do this. And I remember I met a dude. He was literally selling a book on how to make comics, and he was he was also an illustrator. I dug his stuff, and it was cool. I picked up the stuff, started listening to him, his friends, started getting into it, started doing my own webcomic. And I thought it was cool. I was kind of starting to live the dream, but I never tabled. I never did anything like that. For me, it was just draw it, put it up, put it on social media, and social media has been a big help with that actually. And then nothing came of it until one year at New York Comic Con. The same people who kind of influenced me to kind of jump out and get out there, they were doing portfolio reviews. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna come up to the guy, I'm like, yeah, I read your book, you were a big influence to me. What do you think of my excellent work? And he's like, your anatomy is shit, and tore me a new one. And objectively speaking, it was criticism that I needed to learn because I never went to art school. Yeah. I never learned any stuff. I was just doodling, And it's the same if someone's like, saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't be using duct tape and bubble gum to patch up your car, To use an analogy for something I know nothing about. But hearing that from like a hero broke me. And for like 2 years I stopped drawing. It's like I just can't do this shit. But like you said, it's the bug. The bug gets you. I would go to Comic Con, I would cosplay, I would do dumb shit, and I would kind of like look at some artists and like, I want to do that. This is what I want to do. So I started doodling again. It was like really basic shit, kind of getting that bug out, and that's where I met Mark, my writing partner, and we was like, hey, what started as banter was like, let's do this webcomic. Fast forward a few years of me doing consistently, drawing every day, and actually objectively listening to the advice that was given me by that artist, learning anatomy, practicing life drawing. In fact, later on, I would meet somebody who did covers for Marvel. He repeated the same thing, maybe not as brusquely as that other guy, but he also gave me a homework assignment of doing life drawing and stuff like that. And by drawing every day and keeping that schedule every Wednesday, getting a strip up, regardless, family emergencies, hangovers, whatever the hell. Even if I just like couldn't do colors that morning, just get it out there. I noticed an improvement. My friends noticed that improvement. They're like, hey, you're starting to get there, A few years later, I'm at a con, behind the table, and that artist who shat on me, tore me a new one, was sitting next to me. Didn't remember me at all. But he would look over and see my drawings like, hey, that's pretty good. I was like, okay.
You got his groove.
I got my groove back.
Yeah, it's full circle.
Full circle, yeah.
Like at the end of the day, if an artist is going to take his time to criticize your work, learn from it. And I can understand some artists have to learn to be more humane about it. But sometimes too, again, take the criticism, regardless of how you get it, run with it, and just get better.
I think this is also one of those industries too where we're not really competing against each other.
It's friendly competition.
It's not even. It's like, it's friendly in the sense like if I see something do, like, I can do that. I can do that better. I can do that. But if you sell a book to Image, it doesn't mean anything to me really. I mean, like, it doesn't mean they're not gonna buy my thing. It just means like, hey, you're doing good, and maybe that connection we have. You go, hey, Alex, I kind of need help with this book I'm doing. Want to help it? Because at the end of the day, it's all really your reputation means a lot in this industry. Because in
a small industry.
It is insanely
very
small.
Like, I like the fact when I start seeing people that I know who are artists that are doing well, like Crease. If you ever got to meet Crease, this guy is insanely talented. I don't know how nobody's picked this guy up. He's insanely talented. And the funny thing too is we're at another con, and we're all who know Kreese. We're talking about Kreese. We're talking about the work this guy does, and we see him at a con. And like, dude, we were talking about you. You're awesome, dude. He's like, guys, and he's very humble about it too. And Kreese is awesome. Another guy is Justin Fascito. The guy has great work. He's done stuff for what's it called, Pronto Comics, and he's doing some stuff from Imbion right now. And it's like, again, when you look at his work, like, yo, you're insanely talented. It's like when I put my stuff next to some of these people, I'm like, my stuff looks like shit. A lot of people are like, oh, you do some, but I'm fanning out. I'm geeking out when I see this people's stuff, and we're all like friends and all that. Like when I see your stuff, I'm looking at it, like your pieces and all that you show me and everything, and having the honor of texting like, oh, yo, what do you think of this piece? I'm geeking out. And again, that's the whole thing too. We're still geeks at heart, but we're all professional about it. But it's fun.
No. Labor of love.
Definitely. Our favorite segment.
Poops and giggles. Did you come up with poops and giggles?
I came up with one.
You came up with one? Okay, so let's let you introduce one.
It's not as reckless as the ones you usually do, but so is there a time, or if it hasn't happened, and who would it be, that you fanboyed for someone that you met at a con to the point of embarrassment? And if you haven't, who would that person be?
I got to meet J. Scott Campbell, Joe Madura, and Humberto Ramos. I got to take a picture with them. But I think the funniest one was when I got to meet Joe Madura for the first time. And my wife was there, she could co-sign it. When he's signing the books, and I was like, yeah, Red Monica is one of my favorite characters. He's looking at me going, I wonder why. I'm like, in case you didn't know, Red Monica has big boobs. That wasn't. I love the art style, but I was like, I can't. That's boobs. But whatever. No. But
there's a reason that book is so popular.
Because I was a little more chill when it came to the Joe Madura, J. Scott Campbell, and Humberto Ramos signing. But when I met Joe, I was like, yeah, boobs, boobs.
No, I was lucky that. Because I got a chance to interact with a lot of people, not just comic people, but like actors and stuff. And I think for me, early on, I realized if I'm going to be running around in these circles, I need to really take that fanboy, put him in the closet, play some video games. Like you just go back there.
Stay there.
Just stay there.
In the back of my head somewhere.
Yeah, because I fanboy out for anything, and it's really hard for me not to do that. So it's for me the crowning achievement, I would say actually would be just having drinks with Greg Capullo. And he probably couldn't fucking remember me for the life of him, but I'm sitting at a bar and I'm just me and my buddy, we're just basically drinking with him, talking to his wife, who's an awesome lady, and then she's just kind of keeping him under control as we're just doing drinks. Because we're hanging out with him and we're just talking about heavy metal. Just
that's pretty dope.
Music, because he's a fucking amazing musician, and beer. So
I didn't know that he was one of the guys that started the Comic After Con, which is Stan Chow. And when I finally got to meet him, I actually fanboyed out at the Comic After Con. I'm like, yo, your work is just awesome. Like literally, Stan Chow, you're awesome. And then I was like, when I saw later in Johnny's feed that they all went to karaoke, I was like, fuck, I wish I could have gone. I was like, shit. I was like, Stan Chow and Johnny. But no, I literally Stan Chow, I was following his work for a while and on Instagram and everything. I was like, dude, your work is awesome. I love your inks, and it's like he does some really great stuff. And I just fanboyed out.
Actually, I had a really awkward moment once because it was when we were first starting comic stuff, and we met. He's an older artist, from that era, Norman Lee. And Mark, my partner, he knew him through mutual friends and stuff. So, and he's, introduced he's a writer, I'm the artist, and he just turns to me. Here's an established guy who used to do X-Men stuff. I think it was X-Men. He used to do old school comics. It'd be the equivalent of Joe Maduro just turning to oh, I hope we get to work on a book together. And I'm just like, I'm not worthy. Which it was really sad too because he passed. He passed away. Actually, it was later that year, and I was like, fuck, it's kind of that weird surreal moment of meeting someone who you kind of looked up to a bit, and having them kind of say, I've never seen your stuff, but you're one of us now. You're in the circle, So it was and it's there's probably stories that we have of people who are jerks, but here's one of the shining people. He kind of makes you feel included. You know, someone made the analogy like being in comics is like standing on the line to the VIP section for 10 years. The moment you get off that line, you have to go right back to the beginning, to the end, and start again. But once you get in, you know, it's like you're there.
You're in.
You know, you're in. I mean, you can leave, but then you still have to probably do the same shit. But it's a weird, it's kind of an exclusive club that allows anyone in, and it's one of the few communities I felt included in the moment I joined.
I think also too with dealing with the comic community, a lot of people want to see, because like if you do a con or two, people don't think that you're serious, but when they start seeing more and more and more and more, because consistency is key in anything you do.
I think we're gonna wrap up this edition of Nerds Around Guest Host Edition.
Guest Host Edition! Oh!
I'm Antonio from across the hall, and we've got Alex. Alex, where can everyone find your stuff?
Links will be down here, but I don't know. If you could spell my last name, you can find me on Twitter. WaywardRaven.com for all things Wayward Raven. DamnHeroes.com for my artwork. If you're on the Instagram, it's ASAP Can Draw.
If you're here, you obviously know Sebastian and his work. But Sebastian, where can they find your stuff?
You can find me on Instagram. You can find my work somewhere in the Bronx or at a con near you. No, yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Sebastian Bonet Art. You can find me at SebastianBonetArt.net. And you can find me on Facebook at Sebastian Bonet.
Oh yeah, the Facebook. ASAP Can Draw Facebook.
You can draw Facebook?
Yeah.
You can draw Facebook.
That's it for this episode of Nerds Around. If you like this video, click on like. If you like this video,
hit the bell.
Click on subscribe. Share this video on Facebook. Share this video on Twitter. Good night, everybody. All right, here we go. What's going on, everybody? This is Antonio. No, fuck, shit, fuck.
Like my shit.
my shit.
Buy their shit. That is the moral of this. Is buy their shit. Buy artists' shit. Support the cause.
In fact,
No, don't buy the shit. Just buy my.
no, you can buy that. I will